Hi, I'm Kris Menace and I'm welcome to my studio here in south of Germany near the French border. And I will show you today a little bit of my synthesizers, how I did a Royksopp remix, which is just finished, how the arrangement of the new track Metropolis is. I will show you a little bit of Scala, and I will open for the first time ever the Discopolis arrangement again, which was done on an old system. So I hope you enjoy it. So basically what I'm using is Cubase, because I'm not a really big fan of Logic anymore. Started back in the days with Notator, and then pretty soon I switched on Cubase, and that's where I'm staying till now. It's just much easier if you're used to programs since a while. You're really faster in programming and searching for stuff. So for the Royksopp remix, I basically had a lot of parts from them, which I've put it in Cubase, and I cutted them the way I really like it. Like, for example, there's a bass synth, which I just cut it from the original, and I've changed the key notes. I can open the original one if you like.
How many parts did you get?
I have to look, I really can't remember.
Well, is there the parts that you left out as well?
I've left most of the parts out. I really just used the basics. For example, that's the bass I received from them. I thought it's just too complex, so I cut it a little bit, and that's what I came out with. And later it turns into a kind of melody. So I changed the whole notes, in fact. I did it the same with another bass sequence sound from him. Just thought it's too complex for a kind of club track. So I've cut it as well into kind of that's the right one. Here we go. So I cut it again the way I really like it. Changed the keys. Then I added a little bass I played with, I think, the tuner. Bass together. Then a synth core. Let me loop that for you. Some hi-hats. Some drum samples. Hold on.
Where's the choir from?
Pardon?
Where's the choir pad from?
I think it's also sampled from the Royksopp guys. Hold on. I'm not 100% sure. I think I've totally changed it. Again, too complex, so I've just took the basics. Vocoder in there. I basically took the vocals from Robin, the lead vocals, and I cutted something out because I don't like vocals in the club too much. So these are the original vocals.
Until every time you leave for work,
And they're too compressed already.
Never seem to know when to stop. I never know when you'll return.
So I took a part of it and I put it through the orange vocoder from Prosonic. I'm working a lot with automatics, so I'm trying to program everything. Basically what I'm doing is a remix. I'm taking the samples I get and I'm changing them the way I really like it. And I've just add my own little stuff and some synths or whatever. And if I'm doing a new track, I'm starting from scratch, I mostly sample my synths. I'm playing them live. I'm not really using MIDI, rarely using MIDI. Just recording them. So I'm using the computer mainly as a sampler and as a sequencer. Have all the tracks and then I'm just working in the computer doing the automations and automatic stuff. That's how I'm working at the moment.
So do you usually change up the samples before you start the arrangement, or do you sort of work everything at the same time?
No, basically when I listen to the samples, when I get the parts for a remix, I listen through them and I'm checking what I really like, and so I'm just taking the bits I like, and then I'm playing around with them. Sometimes I just put them in Ableton and play a little bit, mess around with them. Sometimes I'm just putting them in Cubase, and then I'm like going through process and putting them in the sampler, and then I'm playing them different keys and stuff, and then I'm going there from.
So are there any soft synths on this record, or is it mainly outboard?
No, on the remix there are no soft synths at all. It's really just outboard and the samples from Royksopp, which I basically think they definitely used soft synths because it sounds too clean. It's too clean. Sounds like a Moog plugin, something like that. Yeah, the original sounds also very, very clean, so. Sounds too cold, so I think they use plugins.
So can you take us through a little bit about how you approach mixing? Either
Basically,
this track or another track, whatever. But
yeah, basically what I'm doing pre-equalizing in Cubase with a normal equalizer from Cubase. Normally I don't do that. That was necessary in that case. I just put notches in the frequencies I really don't like. I'm going out into the Ramsa, the Panasonic Ramsa desk, using 16 channels here. And I'm going in the Mackie where I'm using 16 channels. And then I'm going back from the Mackie to the Ramsa, so the Ramsa is the main mixer. Going from the Ramsa into Elise's 3630 compressor, which is a customized one, a little bit. And then I'm going into a Pultec IQ from back in the days, which is also customized. It has old kind of tubes from Siemens or whatever stuff. Then I'm going in a finalizer, and from the finalizer I'm going into an old Macintosh system, OS9, where I record on a software called SonicWorks, which yeah, exactly, digitally from the finalizer into the OS9 system. And when I record it, I have a little analyzer and stuff. I really prefer the SonicWorks software. It will be released a new version very soon for OS 10. Looking forward to that, so I don't have to work on the old system.
Back into Cubase?
No, basically I really record on.
This computer.
No, I'm not going back. I'm recording really live into the old system in OS 9. I'm not going back into the other one. So I'm just using it really as the sequencer and as a sampler.
But what I mean is you'll go back into the old system once you get the OS X 10.
No, I think I buy a second computer.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Yeah, I don't want to have too many things on one computer running. It's just I want to be sure that everything works fine.
So I mean, with one interesting thing on here, you've got basically 3 really low-end parts.
Yes.
with all sort of arpeggiated.
Yeah, yeah.
How do you approach balancing all those? I mean, because that's quite
Well,
a knack.
For example, if I have this bass tone, this really deep one, and there's coming a second one, like this. I'm just trying to not really separate them. I really want that they are becoming one. So what I'm doing is just I'm searching where the sounds are disturbing each other. Like, for example, I always cut a little bit at the end. I'm boosting it at 500 all the time, especially when it's coming from a plug-in sound. And then here, for example, it is disturbed at the low end, so I'm just doing a low cut. So it's not disturbing each other in a way, but still sound fitting together. And what I do, I sidechain a little bit against each other. So, for example, the one bass sidechains the other, so it really makes it like sounding one at the end.
And that's so that the one bass is being sidechained from the other bass?
Yes, exactly.
Oh,
so I'm sidechaining them both.
From a kick or anything?
No,
okay.
no. Mainly, everybody says or everybody thinks that most of the tracks, the French sound tracks, are sidechained, but in the end, it's just all about the compression at the end. So if you put the kick a little bit louder, it automatically sidechains away the rest. So you just have to find a good balance, and you have to find a good. Mainly, it's the 3630 compressor, which really makes this pumping effect. I don't know about the structure inside, but it's, I think, one of the best compressors ever made. Really has a really special sound. What the only problem is that it really takes away a little bit at the low end and the mid range, but you can drop that in later. So, but what I'm doing, I have the Pultec, which brings it back, the passive IQ from back in the days, and then the finalizer, which I can just manipulate again a little bit, putting it the mids, and that's it.
So how come you go from this desk to this desk? Is it just the amount of channels you need, or?
No, basically I really like the sound of the Mackie. The old one, not the new ones. The new ones sound a little bit too clean for me, but I really like the warm and rich sound of the old Mackie 6004.
So you use it for sort of summing?
Yeah, basically when I get parts like from Royksopp, which is what are obviously plugins, they're too clean normally, so I want to add some more kind of organic sound, and I think the Mackie is perfect for that because of the EQs and stuff. It really makes something crispy. The Mackie goes into another 3630 compressor and into 1136 double compressor, which is also customized, has Neve outputs, inputs, and a sidechain. So that makes a little bit more kind of fluffy sound. Really makes it warm, rich, and it really fits perfectly into a mix. So basically I'm just running through them with instruments, or sometimes with vocals, because the 1176 is just perfect for vocals. Makes them also really fluffy, give them space in the mix, what I really, really like. So I was forced from Future Music to open the arrangement from Discopolis from back in the days. So we went on my old system, OS9, Cubase VST. For Discopolis, for the main sound, we used a plugin, Oddity from G Media. And I'll explain you a little bit about the settings. So basically, you will get a screenshot how you have to move the faders to get the sound. Then, so let me play it rough in a loop. How is it working on the old one? Like that, okay. Yeah. So. That's the main sound, in fact. So what I did, I've added a chorus. It makes it brighter. And then I've added a FX delay, which makes it really into the space. And that's the Discopolis sound. I have to look into the mixer. It's a little bit too loud at the moment. Unbelievable. The bass line is a combination. I've used the first time a VST plugin. It was really very first time I've used one. It's a PPG Waves plugin for the bass, doubled with the Juno 106. So it's basically two bass sounds, which makes it sound like one big one. I've used the Juno for the sub, so it makes a boom, boom, boom. And the PPG Waves is just on top, making it a little bit more the mids. I have to search if I find it here. It's not that easy. It's too old.
So this was this the first kind of...
My first touch with the VST plugin, yeah. There we go. That's one of them.
That's the Juno.
One of the patches. I'm sorry for the beats. The beats were not loading in because obviously I've moved the arrangement somewhere else. On the old system, it was a little bit complicated.
But this was all mixed in the box on here, and
no, it was mixed here, produced here, everything done here. Yeah, also with the Ramsar, also with the 1604. I've used a Behringer compressor for it as well. Exactly for the bass. Yeah, that's the Discopolis arrangement. So we've just opened the arrangement for Metropolis, which is the new single coming out soon. We're talking a little bit about the beats. So what I basically do is I had a lot of drum machines back in the days. I sampled them, most of them, before I sold them, sorry. Still have some left. I have an 808 still, which I'm sampling most of the time. The samples I have, I'm running through a sample player. At the end, I'm going out from the computer into a SSL compressor, which is modified also with Neve inputs and Neve outputs. A SSL compressor for me, for drums, is just perfect. It makes even if you really don't have a perfect balance of the drums, it really saves you a lot of time because it sounds much better. All the American studios have SSL consoles and SSL stripes. So basically this really warm, rich, compressed drum sounds are coming from the SSL compressor. My settings are quite harsh. I have a tag which is on 30 milliseconds, and I have a release which is on 0.5 milliseconds, which makes it really punchy. For R&B settings, I would totally go the other way. But if we're talking about club music, we want to have a little bit of a really good punch. With the threshold, I'm not doing too much threshold dB because it would make it a little bit, you would lose a little bit of the punch as well. So you have to find a really good balance. But I can show you what it's doing, in fact. Really recommend everybody who really wants to have proper drums to buy SSL stripe. I think meanwhile you can buy it separately from SSL. I'm not 100% sure. This one was from an original console, built it out. A friend of mine did this little customized thing out of a big one, an original one. So I show you with it and then without it with a bypass. compressor, the drums through the SSL compressor and without. And you hear the difference. It's not, everything is a little bit more separated where when you put it in. Just makes it more punchy, everything is a little bit more combined. I'm going to another section of the track. Again. Without. You see that the punch it's really punching it out without destroying the sound of the drums. Makes it really more punchy. Really good for the mix down. It has space in the mix as well. This version also has an integrated sidechain, which I don't really use. Before I go in the SSL compressor, I have a transient designer, just to make it a little bit more punchy and crisp. I think it's one of the most underrated units from SPL, the transient designer. You can do so many crazy things, especially when you have too much samples going around and it's a little bit of a mess. You can really separate the drums. I will show you a really hard setting. So that's how I have it at the moment. Now, if I put the sustain down, you really see how it's just unbelievable what it's doing with the attack and the sustain. And you can really make it punchy. Like for rock stuff, I sometimes go in the 24 plus. Well, it's extreme, but just to show you, with the kick as well, you get a really good attack on the kick. But you can also take it totally away, so you don't have really the kick anymore. So basically I'm just giving a little bit more attack and I'm putting away a little bit of the sustain, just to have a little bit more space in the drums. Before then I go to the SSL compressor and then back in the good old Ramson. Basically what I'm doing sometimes, I just use samples and I've put them in, looking that they're not 100% correct. What I really don't like on a production is, as I said before, if something is overproduced or just too correct. So I'm always looking that there's a kind of groove in it. What I'm mostly doing is because I've programmed back in the days some grooves and some quantization which is not really correct, so you have a little bit the feeling of a human drummer. So I go on the old system, on the old Cubase, and I've opened some drums in a sample player. I set them in and then I can put the old Logic grooves, I load them in, and this makes a really nice groove. It's unbelievable what the quantization is doing. So then I'm transporting the drums back in the new system. I have a little folder where basically all my kind of drums I'm using most of the time. And so it's a kind of my sample library I've done for myself. When I hear a little loop somewhere, wherever I'm sampled it, I'm cutting it and recycle, taking out the kicks, the snares. And I'm just messing around with them, doing the groove I really like with it. And then I combine them with certain things, like that's a really nice sample from an old school record. I put a flanger on it, so it's a little bit more kind of moving. That's the one. That's a little beatbox. I programmed this. Some electro heads. Comes from a plugin. kick I sampled once. I think it was from my LM1, sampled from the LM1, it's the LM1 kick. What else? Well, my drums. A little bit messy with arrangements, to be honest. Yeah, that were the drums here. Go to a different kind of thing. Then I have some shakers. All kind of different shakers. Once again, through the SSL, they're kind of really combined to one. So even if you have certain layers of drums, it really brings it all together in one mix, which makes it really. It's kind of really punchy all together. This is a nice hi-hat I did once with a Juno. It's the noise sound from the Juno with the attack and the release very, very short. I use it as a hi-hat. So it's the Juno sound. Open, closed. So everything goes for drums. I use samples. Sometimes I just mess around with the synths and I have a sound which sounds like a really nice hi-hat, or and so I'm just putting it in and I'm mixing it together. So it's just really what comes up with. There's no special plan or there's nothing really. It's just like we're coming up with.
But in terms of the actual beats themselves, they're all sort of. I know all dance music has a disco element, but they're very disco sounding with the flanging and the phasing and the kind of.
Yeah, well, that's what I like. That's what I really like. The problem these days I see with dance music, I mean, in clubs it sounds really good because everything is over-compressed and everything is clean, but I really don't feel any soul anymore if I'm looking at the Beatport Top 10. There's just missing something. That's why, I mean, everybody's just using plugins and software stuff. And they're missing the point a little bit because it's overproduced, and overproduction is not good for the creative elements of music. So you should always be carefully with what you really want to do. And most of the time people are just ripping them other people, and there's no developing anymore. Nobody has the balls to make new stuff or trying new stuff. They are just trapped in a kind of justice thing at the moment, or minimal thing, but there's not really something going out and saying, hey, here we go. And but most of the time that's the other problem, that people also don't have the balls to play it out. That's the next thing. If you're really coming up with something new.
Do you think it might be because of money as well, though? Because people don't want to take risks in case they lose money? Definitely. These days, I mean, music business is so hard with the downloads and stuff that nobody wants to take any risk. And I mean, I can see it myself. I've released this stereophonic track, which is a breakbeat track, in fact, with the Spooky guys. And I really like to see the reactions because people didn't expect that I release a kind of breakbeat track. So, but most of the people, really, the older people who are in the business for quite a while, like Errol Alkan, they really get it. They were like, wow, fucking hell, that's fresh, that's cool. Or Scalar, for example, which is a kind of techno track. Nobody would have expected from me releasing a kind of really clubby techno track. And most of the people I received really mixed comments. Most of the people were really like Discopolis. They're like, I really preferred your sound back in the days. But I mean, I can't just copy myself on and on and on. It's bullshit. Funny-wise, Metropolis, the new single, was done directly after Discopolis, or in the meanwhile. So it sounds a little bit the same. That's why I chosen the name Metropolis. It's a kind of word game. It's not really. It's more a little fun thing. Also, I want to test what's going on these days, because if you release the same stuff on and on, people are saying, "Oh, look at him, he's doing the same stuff." If you're changing your sound, people are saying, "Yeah, well, what is he doing now? That's not his stuff." So you're really like, "What the hell should I do?" You feel a little bit lost, and that's the problem of these days, that people are limited in their thinking ways. It's not really good.
There's a lot of competition now as well.
It is. Really,
More
totally.
than ever. From our readers.
Yeah.
In terms of the arrangement then, looking at the way it's laid out, it's just you just do it as you go. There's not
No.
that much of a plan.
No, there's no plan at all. No plan at all. If I'm doing a commercial production, of course I'm doing it a certain way. But if I'm doing club music, you shouldn't go with a kind of plan or whatever. You should just let it roll. That's why my arrangements look really messy. I know that a lot of people have really clean stuff. Everything is named. And I really don't like that. I like a little bit the chaos, the mess. The problem is if you go back to arrangement, like we're doing this feature here, and I'm opening this arrangement, I don't really know where the stuff are, so I have to search for it. But next to this, I really like just to, you see, I'm for example, I've started with a beat, and then there came another beat, and then suddenly there came the bass. I played the bass, and then here's the arpeggio selection. I play then with a keyboard. So it's just, you know, it's just the normal development and just messing around and just trying things. And in the end, something goes up, and then I'm also starting sometimes just with a start, and then the track develops over the arrangement. So I'm not really doing a loop at the beginning, and from this loop I'm building up a track. I'm really trying to do it a little bit more musical. I know that most of the techno tracks, so if I would produce minimal, for example, I would really just go with a loop and make a loop, and then after that I would build up the arrangement. But most of the time these days, I really just start with something, and then I'm playing something, and then comes the next one, I'm playing it. So I do a kind of real-time arrangement production. So it's not like just copying through and putting it on and off and stuff like this. So I'm just trying to make a really little bit musical aspect, and not, as I said, I really don't like this A B scheme hit character kind of thing. I think that's a little bit boring, and everybody can do that. So I mean, if you want to have a hit, you go with this normal hit button thing. You press the hit button, and that's it. You can just look what people are really like. So. Right, so now we're talking a little bit about the compression I'm doing. Basically, I pre-compress it with a Mackie, as we talked before. I've opened a new arrangement. It's a track I've did with one of the Boutica guys called Kobe6. He's from Hamburg, Germany. And they're about to release on my label Worky Baby. So I did a little track with him, which will be released very soon on a very nice label. Oh my god. So just let it run. And I will play a little bit on the latest compressor, which is the main compressor at the end, so you can see really what he's doing. Doing it a little bit louder, so you can really hear what's going on. Basically, I'm bypassing it now. Bypass. Full end. So you really see that the latest, in a way, imitates a sidechaining effect. So you don't have to sidechain really the other tracks running. Just have to make the kick louder or the beat louder, so it will drop away the other signals. It also makes something very special in the low end. I can't explain what really he's doing. It's just that the mix sounds so much fluffier and bigger, especially at the low end. I really couldn't live without it. And it's really cheap. It costs 99 euros or 100 euros.
So can you maybe talk through the settings, how you find the setting you like?
So basically I'm just messing around. That's all I'm doing. I haven't really learned working in the studio. I have a friend of mine who showed me the basics, and then I bought this gear and I just tested around and stuff. So whenever I'm doing a mixdown, I'm really just playing around. I'm looking at the releases where, for example, a good ratio is, and where the threshold kicks in at a good time, where it's not really everything disappears. So I'm really just starting from scratch with all the settings. I don't have a total recall in the studio.
Do you find the settings being similar across tracks, or do you find you just, once you get a decent set, do you just tweak, or is it sometimes quite extreme?
It's quite extreme sometimes. For example, when I did this LCD sound system remix, and I had the Pultec very just new, brand new, and I boosted it at the low end like crazy, and everybody said you can't do that, but it sounded really right at the moment I did it, and in the club it has a really special sound. Then I like when tracks have really special character. I think that's more important than if it really sounds 100% perfectly. I don't admire tracks who are 100% produced anyways, because I really think they don't have a soul. So I really prefer if it has something special. Like when you listen to most of the French tracks from Daft Punk, for example, they're not really 100% the sound you expect, like Stardust, Music Sounds Better With You. It has a really special sound, but it sounds correct to you. So it's not all about, I really don't think you can learn how to do a mixdown proper. You can't go to school or whatever. I think you have to have it in your stomach. Just do what you really like. And that's all about club music. If you go in the pop genre, it's something else. Then you can't do certain things. But I think, be a rebel and just do what you really like and what you think is right at this moment, at the production point. So never think in a way, you can't do that, just do it. So now I explain how I'm recording the tracks. So that's the forthcoming single, Metropolis. I go back on the old system as I record on the old system. And here we are, SonicWorks, which is one of the best programs, I think, to record. You have an analyzer which works for me perfectly. You have a stereo coloration where you see where the stereo is if you are too bright in the bass and stuff. You have a level meter. Basically, what I'm doing now, I'm just recording a little snippet. So you see exactly if something is missing. In this case, everything is fine. Everything is there, the mids are perfectly there, the low end, the highs are not too sharp. And the stereo looks like a nice little thing, so won't talk about that.
So what do you usually look for when you're analysing, what would be the problems that you would spot?
Mainly too much highs. I really think that at 5,000K it should be not too much, otherwise in the club you really have problems with your ears, with the sound. So I'm looking that it's not too much there. I'm looking that the mids are there, because the mids are mainly the message are the mids. So most of the tracks these days have a mid problem, and so I really look, and I'm really keen that the mids are really there and transporting the message of the track, because that's really where the message is. And I'm looking that the bass is not too strong. Obviously everything below 30 Hertz is a little bit too much, so I really look that it's not, sometimes I cut it a little bit, so you can also listen to it on normal speakers. So I'm going back on the new system, stopping it, going back on the old one. So now I have recorded the track. The bass is perfectly mixed. The loudness is okay. And the stereo spectrum is also kind of nice.
What problems would you see on the stereo spectrum? Where would you see spikes?
For example, in the bass, if the stereo is too wide, you can't cut it on vinyl. It's okay for digital, but for vinyl you are not able to cut it, especially when the bass is phrasing, if there are phrases in the bass. So I'm really keen that it's not too bright and that the bass is correctly in the middle. Otherwise, it will be a mess in the club. So I think it's very good. I mean, the ears are nice. It's good when you hear it, but sometimes the ears are cheating you. So I just make a little. It's a control section. In fact, I just want to make sure that everything is fine with the master in the end. After that, after I recorded there and I did a little pre-mastering, I put it in even in older SonicWorks. SonicWorks guys are friends of mine, and they wrote a little program for me, which is a special vinyl plugin, which corrects phrases in the low end again, so that I'm able to cut the tracks a little bit louder than the others. So the exchange, when Niels gets the masters from me at the exchange, he knows he can give a little bit more push. So yeah, there are no problems in the low ends.
Cool.
That's quite cool. So we've just opened the arrangement of Scalar, which is my latest release. Track which is played all across the clubs. A really nice track, which features a little audio-visual thing. It's a little trick what a friend and me found out while I bought this virus, the new virus, and there was one sound which was, it sounds like never ending. We just put it in a kind of scale, and in fact that's the MIDI data of a never ending loop, and it just goes with one special sound, which makes this audio visual effect, which is kind of really tricky. You really think it's never ending, never ending, never ending, and it basically just a scale. That's why it's called Scalar, as you have this impression of a never ending scale. I've never heard that before in a club, and I thought it would be a really nice idea to do that. So basically, that's the never ending loop alone. It's never ending. It's building up and building up, building up. It makes you crazy in a club. Don't know what the Struts kid are thinking when they're in a club and they're like, what the hell is wrong here? We have some crackle problems because I've changed the interface. I'm now working on a metric halo, and I did a little project for a friend, so I had to put in the Fireface. You see, it's on and on and on, never ending. Same with the bass. Destroys every club. Wherever I played this track, a mess. Dance floor went crazy, it's unbelievable. And most of the audio effects, I've just did it real time with the virus as well. So the whole track is basically only the virus Polar. There are no other synths inside. It was just brand new, bought it brand new, and so we're just messing around. And that's the track which came out then. Going out of tune again, like, what the hell is going on? There are even coming some nice bongos, you only feel them, you can't really hear them. I'm just searching for them. Here are the toms.